Okay, sorry, I had to get past that ad. All right, so I have a conspiracy theory video. All right, it's about Zion Williamson. This has to be the most curious case I've ever seen of a number one pick in any sport, except for baseball. Let's not worry about baseball. Baseball does its own thing, but this is the curious case where I've seen a number one pick not be talked about as much, not be focused on as much, and not play like Zion has been. Like, I mean, we've seen Joel Embiid, not Joel Embiid. We've seen Ben Simmons miss the first year. We've seen Blake Griffin miss his first year. We've seen players miss their first year after being selected number one overall. But usually there's some discussion around it. It's like nobody is really talking about. Usually when they talk about Zion, it's updates on how the rehabbing is going. But nobody talks about it. So this is my conspiracy theory, right? Around the time that the draft was going on, when RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter and all these guys were, like putting on their little promotion, like all the prospects do before the draft, little promotional things. And I'm pretty sure a lot can remember. You can even go back and look this up. But Zion puts on the New York Knicks hat and goes, "This feels right," or something like that. He said something like that, which made everybody insinuate that he wanted to be in New York, not New Orleans. Now, this is my theory, okay? What if the weight issue is intentional? Because Zion is trying to force his way out of New Orleans. What is the only way that a team will give up on a number one pick? There's only one way a team will give up on a number one pick, and that's if they can't play. Like, that's the only way a team will give up on a number one pick, if they can't play. Now, what if, sure, I'm sure he had an injury, and if he really wanted to, try to do something like this, the injury is the perfect time to do it, because you have, what do you call it? You have an easy excuse to use. All right, people say he gained weight because he was hurt. He was sitting around on the couch. There are plenty of players that get injured. Look at Blake Griffin. Look at Ben Simmons that got injured. They didn't get fat. Now, let's look at another example of a player just not caring and wanting to force his way out of a situation by using the get fat thing. James Harden. James Harden got fat before the year last year, before the season started. And he did him, but he wasn't really trying. And everybody was saying, "Oh my God, James is so fat. He looks out of shape." And what happened? Houston shipped his ass right out of Houston. Sent them to Brooklyn. Got some assets back. We've seen this before. So I'm thinking, what if what if his team put this plan together to force his way out of, because if this is the only way this is going to substantiate what I'm saying, concretely, this was a management thing, this was an agent thing, and this was a Zion thing, all planned out to force a certain outcome. What if he goes to New York? I think if he gets traded within the next 2 years, period, it would look like, he forced his way out of, but New Orleans still has the leverage, because Zion can't just leave at the end of the season. It'll be a bad PR move for him to force his release somehow. So the only way that I could think of why this dude is not playing and why he there seems to be some reason why he can't play. This team is on the verge of something, but for some reason, the one piece that they're banking on to send them over the top can't play. It's different than a Ben Simmons situation, because Zion can actually shoot the ball. He can finish at the rim. And Zion's been a big, hefty dude for a long time. This is not like him being hefty is a new thing. He's been a hefty kid pretty much for most of his his time in the spotlight. You know, even when he was younger in high school, he wasn't fat or anything like that, but he had some size on him, and it showed when he would match up against other players. You know, dude looked like a grown-ass man out there playing with little kids. We've seen this, all right? So it's not like him having weight on him is a bad thing or it's been something that has caused him issues. No. I don't think that is the reason why he's not playing. I think the reason why he's not playing is because he doesn't want to play in New Orleans, obviously. But I did find this video. You know, I haven't watched it, so I don't know what's in it. But I read the title. The title was Zion was rehabbing away from the New Orleans Pelicans, I guess, facility. I don't think he wants anything to do with New Orleans. And I'm going to just say that. I think he wants to get out. He wanted to go to New York. He definitely wanted to go to New York with his boy R.J. Barrett there. But let's go.
They say you're working out in Portland.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I did read that. That was weird. I don't know. Yeah, he couldn't be. I guess they think they don't have food in Portland. Stop it. Curtis, how you choking, Curtis? Game 2 of our double dip.
Guess they're
Clippers and the Suns.
Donuts going on. They'll have to bend what?
Beignets.
Devin Booker.
Hey, I'll tell you that.
Gets his own rebound. You guys, come on, look at the game and lay off, man.
All right, I'm going to go to a part where they're actually talking about it.
Now it's Phoenix at 30-8.
Check.
With the best record. What is up with you, man?
Check. They act like they ain't got no food in Portland. Oh, man. Hey, come on, man. We joke around, but we want this kid to get healthy because he got so much talent. Seems like a great kid. But the Pelicans got to put their foot down. Say, yo, man, we need you. You're going to make $1 billion if you can just get your weight under control. I mean,
Okay, no, I'm not, this is serious. I know Moses Malone was your mentor, and he was part of it. But what was the thing?
What you done to this guy?
But sure, this is a real question of somebody who's having a weight problem, and you've been called the round mound down.
yeah.
But I could pull pictures of you in Phoenix, and you got a six-pack. Like, what was the thing said or done that made you turn the corner and not eat pizza at 12:30?
Damn. Okay. All right, so I heard stories about this with Charles Barkley, and people called him fat. But Charles was like, he was like Zion. He was the best representation of Zion that I could think of back in the 80s, 90s, whatever. You know, a hefty dude, kind of undersized. I think Charles Barkley is like 6'6", but he played power forward, where most power forwards were like 6'9", 6'10", 6'11". You know, or you had like a rare case where they were 7 foot, like Dirk Nowitzki. But, he was a hefty dude, super athletic. I mean, Charles was just a different animal, right? But Moses Malone apparently told him, and I didn't get this from the video. I don't know what he's going to say in response to Kenny Smith's question, but this is just what I heard, whether it's true or not. A lot of times when you hear stories from back in the day, unless you're hearing them from to be honest, even if you're hearing them from the actual player, my bad, it's my radiator. Unless even if you're hearing it from the person themselves, sometimes stories are just, they're fabricated. But from what I heard, it was Moses Malone pulled him aside, told him, hey, listen, man, you fat as hell. Get your shit under control. Pretty much.
Or whatever. I don't even know if he's eating pizza, but you get yourself in physical shape to play basketball.
When Moses told me I was fat and lazy, I cried. I'm not going.
Yeah, there you go. Called him fat, lazy, but it was more like fat ass. It was more like fat ass. But
wow, I did. I cried.
Why did he make you cry? Why was it him?
Because Moses Malone was a great player back in the day. And that Sixers team isn't talked about enough with Dr. J, Mo Cheeks, Moses Malone. And some people consider Moses Malone to be one of the greatest one of the most underrated basketball players of all time. I mean, people want to talk about Wilt being underappreciated. Moses Malone was considered underappreciated. But Moses was a great player, and I'm pretty sure a lot of young black big men that wanted to play in the NBA probably looked up to this dude. Just like Michael Jordan said that Dr. J was his all-time favorite player that he looked up to.
Because
I'm sure you've been called fat.
No, but see, first of all, I love your question because how many people around me would have told me I was fat and lazy?
Right.
I mean, because when you're in the limelight, most of the people around you are enablers. Because you paying all the bills, you buying all the meals, literally.
You're doing great, Chuck. You look great, Chuck.
Yeah.
For real. And it was a guy he most likely respected. He respected his opinion and had nothing to gain by telling Charles the truth. I mean, look at Muggsy Bogues. Muggsy Bogues, from what I understand, his career was completely different after he played Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan called him a midget. And I think even Muggsy came out and said that kind of did something to him psychologically, where his height wasn't an issue until one of the greatest player of all time in NBA history made fun of him about it and made him feel self-conscious. And that's what great players do. When you look up to somebody and you respect them, their opinion matters to you. It's almost like a loved one saying something to you that anybody else saying that same thing to you, no matter how poignant the words are, sometimes the messenger is more important than the actual message.
They're not going to say, man, you're going to eat your way out the NBA. Because I was too big in college. And Sonny Smith, who's always like a father to me, he says, son, I think you got a chance of being a great player, but you got to lose some weight. But
it didn't register.
It didn't register.
Right.
And then when I got to the NBA, Moses had kicked in and it registered. And I wonder who's around Zion, because I would sit him down and I says, man, they giving money away to bums who can't play. You got so much talent. You could be the best player in the NBA.
Somebody might have said it already, but it just hasn't registered. You don't think, I don't. It's just.
I think Zion has a big enough support system around him. Probably yes men as well, but I think that they have a big enough. He has a big enough support system around him, and that somebody might have said something to him. That's if this is like if my conspiracy theory is just wrong and he's just overweight because he had a ample amount of time on his hands, and he, instead of trying to do what he could to stay in shape the best way he could, he decided he wanted to eat and eat and eat and sit and eat and eat. And if that's the case, I'm pretty sure there's somebody around him that's saying something to him. All right, trying to keep his head on straight. I'm pretty sure his agent, who has a significant investment in Zion's future, it would probably say something to him. There's no way Zion being coined as the next transcendent athlete, NBA athlete, his agent is going to let him eat his way out of the league. There's no fucking way. This dude is a cash cow if he gets his shit under control. He's the next LeBron. Like LeBron was the next Jordan when it came to the finances. He's the next LeBron, man. This dude getting Nike endorsements before he even played a game in the NBA. So I think that he got people in his corner. That's if the conspiracy theory isn't correct, and this is actually an out of control situation that Zion isn't controlling, like narrative wise. Now, if my conspiracy theory is right, Zion is overweight on purpose. He wants to be out of the league. His management knows it. His agency knows it. Whoever, his PRs, they know it. They know this. And if he is rehabbing away from the New Orleans Pelicans facility, that just goes to show you that he does not want to be there. He's showing a concerted effort to avoid being in the facility already as it is. So let's go.
Tough pictures, but
yeah, but one of my problems with the NBA has always been when I came to the NBA, we had veterans. Mm-hmm. Who's the oldest player on the Pelicans? Like I think
Valanciunas, I think. Unless I gotta look at their team, but I think Valanciunas might be 30, 31. He might be the oldest guy on that team. That team is relatively young. Maybe C.J. McCollum. But I think Valanciunas was in the league before McCollum was.
Probably
Brandon Ingram, maybe.
Brandon Ingram. He's like 25.
Right.
And then you got Josh Hart. Bledsoe was there last year, but he's not that type of vocal leader you're going to listen to. He's with the Clippers now. But I've always thought that the NBA should have, like, a guy who's like, hey, if you got some issues.
We had that, you know what, for me, I don't know about you, Shaq, for me it was college, because when we went to North Carolina, there was Sam Perkins, who was first team All-American for 3 years. That's when guys didn't come out early. Michael Jordan. I'd never forget that it was like the third night I was on campus. And everybody was like walking through the halls, and they had their like outfit to work out in. I'm like, where y'all going? He's like, oh, we run at night. It's like, we run at night. He's like, yeah, we run at 11 o'clock at night. We're all going to get up here and run. Get your stuff on. And everybody ran around campus. No coach is telling us that, but it's the veteran. And then so what did I do when I was a junior and senior? You bring it to those freshmen.
Yeah.
We're running at night. We're all going to run. This is what we do here.
I totally understand what you guys are saying about veterans and people around them, but at some point he's going to have to say to himself, what do I want to be known as? Do I want to be the best player in the league? Do I want to get in shape? Do I want to be this? Do I want to be that? He needs to tell himself that. Forget people telling you that. He needs to look in the mirror and be like, you know what? I don't look like I did in high school or at Duke.
And that is a fair point. But what Shaq is failing to realize, and what I think a lot of older people fail to realize, because 20, 30, 40 years ago was completely different. It was a completely different mindset. When I was like 18, 19 years old, I had nowhere to stay. I went to my family's house, my dad's side of the family. I went to to my uncle's house, my aunt's house, and see if they was gonna let me stay there for a few days. They let me stay there for the night. But my uncle told me, tomorrow you gotta leave. He said when he was my age, he left home. Well, he got kicked out. And he did the best he could to make his way in the world. And sometimes that works, right? Sometimes it does not work, because if a kid has yet to understand the lessons that they're supposed to know, you can't expect them to know that. Like if it's like that analogy that was being used. If a fish can't climb a tree and you call it stupid, it will forever believe that it's stupid because you're telling it to do something that it's not capable of doing. And if Zion, and if what I'm saying is not true, and this is really a situation, my bad. If what I'm saying is not true, and this is really a situation that got out of hand for him, unless this kid understands that lesson and getting it under control himself, not listening to anybody else, focusing and doing what he needs to do. If he doesn't understand that, it's going to be hard for him to do that. So it's like calling a fish stupid for not being able to climb a tree and making it believe that it's incapable of, because it's not able to do so. There are things that some people, even like elementary things, like there are some people, like my sister from time to time, she would ask me, how do you spell the? Like, seriously. And not a stupid girl by any means, but sometimes simple things, it's hard for some people, you know? And for Zion, it's hard, you know? Like, it may be hard, and I'm not going to say it's hard. It may be hard. And that's if this is a situation he's trying to get a hold of, but he can't, right? So I get where Shaq is coming from, but what we have to understand is not everybody is us. What is common sense for certain individuals may not be common for other people. And to judge them based on what they can't understand or are incapable of being able to handle is not fair to them, and the struggles that it took for them to get to that point where somebody had to say, you don't know how to do this? You don't know how to do that? Where Shaq, when he was coming up, I'm pretty sure it was pull your ass up by your bootstraps and get it done. But that's not every player. And if Zion is really going through something serious right now, where his health is a major concern, and I thought it was when he was coming out of college, I was like, bruh, like this dude is hefty. And now, unless he can convert some of that midsection into muscle, like, he is going to have issues. His body is going to start breaking down. I said this 3-4 years ago when he was drafted. I forgot when he was. I think it was 2019 when he was drafted. I said it. I said that, like, this kid's going to have some issues, man. Like, his body, like, he's a big dude, man. Like, when you look at his waist, man, his waist is kind of hefty. Yeah, that was him coming out of college. Now, apparently, he's so much bigger, I guess. But my point is, man, like, if this is something that he is seriously struggling with, yeah, he needs people that's going to keep his mind on the task at hand and support him. Like, we live in the no accountability era of life now, where people make mistakes, and instead of people holding them accountable for the mistakes they make, you know, they're willing to let them skate by with the excuses. And it's hard for those people who's being let skate by with the excuses look at themselves in the mirror objectively and say, you messed up and you need to fix it. And if this is the case, and I feel bad for the kid, man, because you need people in your corner that's going to keep your head straight. But do I think that's what's happening? No. All right. I think Zion understands money is on the line. My livelihood is on the line. My life is on the line. And I'm pretty sure he wouldn't, he like, the only way that he would go into those kind of waters is if he understood the dangers, but the outcome was worth the danger that he was putting himself under. Because if he's just a regular dude gaining weight sitting on the couch because he's hurt, nobody would give a fuck. But because he's a professional athlete, people care, and I think he understands that. So he's a professional athlete. He has to take care of himself. I'm pretty sure that's not lost on him. So that was it, man. It's a long-ass video, 22 minutes. It's a long-ass video of me ranting about Zion again. I was kind of critical on Zion when I first learned about him. I know nothing about high school basketball. I don't watch high school basketball. I barely watch college basketball. It's just, I've never been a college dude, right? I have my favorite college team, and unless they're on TV, I'm not really watching, right? I'm keeping track of it, but I'm not watching. And Zion, it annoyed me that he was touted as this. It's the same way with LeBron, man. Like, you know, you get, like, people are praising you before you actually, and that's where a lot of these kids, they get messed up in the head, is because of the adulation they get from people. Listen to this, right? James, what's his name? The player from North Carolina. Is there? Hold on, let me look up this player. All right, so I found a player right here. I was looking all over Kentucky. I was looking up North Carolina, Duke to find this player. James Young. Right, James Young was, I think he was coming out of high school. He was either a top 10 or a number 1 recruit coming out of high school. Right, go to Kentucky. I mean, he's experiencing success. I mean, and whether he's playing well, whether he's doing what he's supposed to do on the court, the fact that they pretty much gave this kid whatever he wanted, so he expected everything, and a lot of times these kids getting recruited by these schools, they're being treated like kings, they're being treated like royalty. And a lot of times, like, they get what do you call it? They get slammed by reality when they get to the league, or when they get out of college, because they realize, okay, I'm not the center of the universe, man. I'm not this god that they made me think I was. And there's a shock to the system for most players. That's why most great players that come out of college, they flame out in the NBA, or they don't even make the league. Because their perception of life was different when people wasn't loving you, even though they didn't know you. And that's the biggest red flag. How can anybody love you and they don't know you? Right? So James Young, his second year in Boston, He earned a spot on the team. And Brad Stevens, which at the time I thought was like kind of like why would you say that to people? Like, even if that's how you felt, why would you say it? But he came out and said that when he gave James the roster spot, he told him, "I know this is the first time you've earned anything in your life. Congratulations." Which I still think it sounds like, even if he says it to James, that's different. But saying it to the media, it just portrays you a certain way, bro. Like, I wouldn't say stuff like that. But if it is true, and that was the first time James worked hard for something that was not guaranteed to him, like, it was a big deal, right? And I think a lot of these young guys coming out of college, like Zion, they get filled up with these notions of them being superior, that when that is no longer the case, like, it's a shock. It's a shock to you mentally. You don't understand how to, I don't know, you don't understand how to process that kind of information. So, Zion, back to Zion real quick, and then I'm done. I hope this is what it is, what I believe it is, because, if this kid is unknowingly destroying himself and not giving himself a chance to succeed at what it is that he loves to do, or maybe he doesn't love to do it, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming he loves to do it. If he's not giving himself the best chance to succeed at this, either way, I think that this is it's sad, but I'm pretty sure that they have him going to doctors, making sure that his levels are straight, his cholesterol isn't too high, his kidneys are working fine, his heart is beating regularly. Like, I'm pretty sure they're making sure that this kid is healthy. Now, with him having the weight on him, that's, I'm pretty sure that they're going to make sure that it doesn't get into the danger zone. But hopefully we see him out on the court soon. I'm hoping next year, whether he wants to be there or not, he just goes to training camp, he prepares himself. Because I think New Orleans is on the verge. And if they showed anything this year, they have the pieces not to win a title, but to at least compete at a high level. I think Brandon Ingram, every year that passes, Brandon Ingram is becoming this damn near star, if you will. I just think that with the right coach, the right players around him, I think that we could see the most. We could realize a vision that we've had of Brandon Ingram. But I'm done, man. This is 27 minutes. I'm good. All right.